We should be trying to find the bomber, not the bomb. Other countries have done it. Israel is probably the best example of that. But to put this enormous expense on the federal government, to put the enormous expense on the traveling public for pat downs and other intrusions, I think is too much money. I agree with Governor Perry. I actually voted when this bill came up. I voted to allow for privatization. I was not for this being a government function. I thought it could be a private function. But the issue of the Patriot Act is a little different. We are at war. The last time we had a threat at home like this, obviously it was much more of a threat at home, was during the Civil War. And of course, Abraham Lincoln ran right over civil rights. Why? Because we had a present domestic threat. In the previous wars that we've had, we haven't had this type of threat that we have here in the homeland, and we have to deal with it differently. I disagree with Governor Huntsman. He made some good points. And we have had the debate. It's been an open debate. It's really showed the values of our country that we can engage in this open debate and balance those interests, and I think we have done so appropriately.
So just to be precise, is it ethnic profiling, religious profiling? Who would be profiling?
Well, the folks who are most likely to be committing these crimes. If you look at, I mean, obviously it was people. Obviously, Muslims would be someone you'd look at. Absolutely, those are the folks who are the radical Muslims, are the people that are committing these crimes, as we've by and large, as well as younger males. I mean, these are things that not exclusively, but these are things that you profile to find your best, the most likely candidate.
Congressman Paul,
that's digging a hole for ourselves. What if they look like Timothy McVeigh? You know, he was pretty tough criminal. I think we're using too much carelessness in the use of words that we're at war. I don't remember voting on a declaration of war. Oh, war against terrorism. And terrorism is a tactic. It isn't a person. It isn't a people. So this is a very careless use of words. What about this? Sacrifice liberties because they're terrorists? You're the judge and the jury? No, they're suspects. And they have changed in the DOD budget, they have changed the wording on the definition of Al-Qaeda and Taliban. It's anybody associated with organizations, which means almost anybody can be loosely associated. So that makes all Americans vulnerable, and now we know that American citizens are vulnerable to assassination. So I would be very cautious about protecting the rule of law. It will be a sacrifice that you'll be sorry for.
Herman Cain, let's bring you into this conversation. Are you with Senator Santorum when he says that there should be religious profiling, that Muslims in particular should get extra screening when they go through airports?
I believe we can do a whole lot better with TSA, and I call it targeted identification.
What does that mean?
We can do targeted identification. If you take a look at the people who have tried to kill us, it would be easy to figure out exactly what that identification profile looks like. But I want to make sure that I get to the Patriot Act. So I believe we can do a whole lot better. The answer, I believe, also may be privatization. Now, relative to the Patriot Act, if there are some areas of the Patriot Act that we need to refine, I'm all for that. But I do not believe we ought to throw out the baby with the bathwater for the following reason. The terrorists have one objective that some people don't seem to get. They want to kill all of us. So we should use every means possible to kill them first or identify them first.
But just to be precise, Mr. Cain, I just want to give you a chance. Is it okay for Muslim Americans to get more intensive pat-downs or security when they go through airports than Christian Americans or Jewish Americans?
No, Blitz. That's oversimplifying it. I happen to believe that if you allow our intelligence agencies to do their job, they can come up with an approach. I'm sorry, Blitz, I meant Wolf, okay? Blitz, Wolf. Since we on a Blitz debate, I apologize. Wolf, what I'm saying is, let's ask the professionals to give us an approach of how we can increase the identification of people that might be a danger to civilians as well as a danger to this nation.
Thank you, Cain. All right, go ahead. We have another question. Please give us your name and the organization you represent.
I'm Fred Kagan, resident scholar and director of the Critical Threats Project at the American Enterprise Institute. And my question is, the raid that killed Osama bin Laden was obviously an important success in the struggle against al-Qaeda, although it also drove U.S. relations with Pakistan to a new level. Do you think that an expanded drone campaign in Pakistan would be sufficient to defeat Al-Qaeda and to secure our interests in Pakistan?
Governor Huntsman.